And to open things up, we have Joe Armstrong here, who's going to talk about making money from FP. And I really can't think of anybody more qualified to give that talk. If you take any percentage of the valuations of any of the companies that have made money off of Erlang, you've probably made more money off of FP.
Zero.
No, not you personally, but you've made more money for other people with FP than anybody else on the planet. So, I suppose what I will do is hand over the floor.
Right, thank you. What's happened to my slides? They've gone again. Come back slides, always forgiven. Come on. Oh, thank you. Right. When I was asked to give a talk, I put this title down. And I thought, because I like to have a sort of provocative title, and it was commercial use of the functional programming. So I put this title down, and then about 2 weeks ago I thought, what the heck am I going to say? So I made a set of slides, and they were all quite nice. And I was using OpenOffice, and there were some images in it, and suddenly all the images vanished. And I looked up vanishing images in OpenOffice, and there was bug reports right back to 2008, and that wasn't very nice. So I thought, well, I'd have to make some slides. So the first ever set of slides I've ever made using functional language. So I wrote all the slides in XML and then used XSLT to transform them to PDF using Apache font, which is yes. So these are the first ever slides I've made in a functional language. And actually, it's much easier to use than OpenOffice once you've written the style sheets. And that wasn't that difficult. In fact, functional programming is actually useful for certain things. Let's see. This is a sort of what, why, how lecture. The what, standard academic thing. What, why, how. The what is making money from functional programming. The why is, well, why would you want to make money from functional programming? But you have to answer that question. Are there any venture capitalists in the audience? No, you'd recognise they'd be having suits and big gold watches and things. Take you off when you've got coffee and start whispering to you in the corner. So obviously we're talking to the wrong audience. So, the fact there are no venture capitalists here is symptomatic of something. Actually, people are making money out of functional programming. There's not the functional programmers, it's the venture capitalists. I shall illustrate this later. A couple of whys. Well, somebody's got to make some money from functional programming, otherwise there won't be any jobs in functional programming. And it'll just be a sort of hobby thing. We all do it as a hobby, but some of us want to do it for a living because you like these programming languages. You want to do it for your job. You might want somebody to pay you to do it. If you're starting off in the field, you're a young student and things, and somebody else has already solved that problem for you, a professor or somebody's worked out how to get money for you, and you can just go and do it. And then as you get older, you become a professor like John or something, then you find, oh my God, I've got to find ways of making money so my students can do their PhDs and things, and everybody can have fun. So that's one reason to make money out of functional programming. The other reason is to get rich. Well, of course, if you wanted to get rich, you wouldn't be a functional programmer. You wouldn't come here. So we'll sort of forget about that reason, because nobody ever. I mean, I know I want to become stinking rich. Well, a young lad comes to me, I want to become stinking rich. We'll go and learn functional programming, and you become stinking rich. Not going to happen, actually. Sorry, but right. So those are two reasons why you might want to make money from functional programming. If you're going to sort of sell the idea to somebody that you can use functional programming, you need to state what the commercial advantages of functional programming are. So there are no elevator pitches. You know what an elevator pitch is. This is when you find yourself in a lift, elevator, I think. Is that American? American. Yes, American. Yes. In English, it's called a lift, right? So when you find yourself in an elevator and you're standing next to the managing director or standing next to a venture capitalist because he's got a big suit on and a big gold watch, and you can talk to him for 30 seconds. So there's what's called the 30-second elevator pitch. Like that. And it just takes the time. And then there's a 2-minute elevator pitch and a 5-minute elevator pitch. So even if you're not thinking of making money out of functional programming, it's a good idea to know what the elevator pitches are and have them for these different time intervals. So this happened to me. I was sat on the underground, and opposite me was the technical director of Ericsson, the new one. And, you're filming this, aren't you? Right. I'll tell you this at coffee. The fact you film stuff has a completely, for legal reasons, has an influence on the things you can say. Perhaps. But anyway, cut a long story short, I used the elevator pitch. So if you find yourself in a lift next to some bloke and you want to sell them the idea of a functional program, I haven't a clue what it is anyway. So you tell them that the three great truths. This is like what's it in Buddhism? There's three great truths. Oh, there are three Buddhism. I can't remember. They're slightly different in functional programming. Well, you could write all programs quicker than people writing them in C++ or Java or something like that. This I believe to be a truth. I believe it to be well validated by loads of experiments. And the reason why that is good is you'll be able to get to the marketplace quicker. So it's time to market. Nobody cares what language it's written. I met all sorts of people. I don't care. I've got 1,000 C++ programs to do this. You can write all these things in Turing equivalent. You can write any language you feel like, but you can write it quicker in Haskell or something like that. So time to market is very important. It's only important in emerging markets. It's not important in mature markets. If this is something that's well understood, it's not important for scientists. It's very important in an emerging market where you want to get first into the marketplace. The reason for that is market stickiness. Once you are first in the marketplace, it's very difficult for somebody to displace you. That's the first reason it's good. There should be less, there will be less errors in your program. There will be. We've done all these experiments. Haskell programs will have less errors than C++ programs. And that will mean that your cost for maintenance and getting all the goddamn bugs after you ship the stuff will go down. This is a major cost for big companies. A major cost. We have in Ericsson whole large groups of people fixing bugs in products. If we could reduce those costs, it would be very good. And of course the programs are a lot shorter. So we know all these things. There's scientific evidence for this, for these different things. So I'll finish if I press something. Come back slides, or forgive me. Right, okay. So those are that's your elevator pitch for the commercial advantages of functional programming. Now the people who are buying into this, they don't care if you write it in Haskell or C++ or anything. They all learn some programs. Okay, so the plan of this lecture is just to tell a few success stories, because it's good to hear a few success stories. And then I'm going to talk about the various ways that I know people have made money out of functional programming. We've got to go from starting a company, what else? Different types of company you can start, how you can innovate within a big company and what sort of problems you'll get and what other options there are. And this is a very personal thing, because I'm not talking in the abstract. Well, apart from I'll refer to some companies I haven't had anything to do with this, but quite a few of the things there I've actually been there and done that. So I've started a company and been through all this process, and I've innovated in a small group inside a big company, and I've seen that at very close quarters. So kind of got a feeling for what works and what doesn't work. And I don't know if it's repeated. Well, the innovation in a big company, I don't know if my experience is repeatable, so I can only tell you my experience, and other people's experience might be different. So I'll leave it to a bit of a discussion at the end as to whether these things are generic or whether they're special cases. And I've observed a little pattern in companies that seems to be repeatable. So I'll tell you what that pattern is. It seems to work quite well, and that seems to be a surefire way of making money out of a company. Just sort of crank the handle and out comes money, just like a sausage machine. It's quite easy. Although it is risk-filled. I mean, I would say that none of these things are without risk. Good morning. Right. So success stories. Well, for functional programming, it's always good to have a success story. Something's written in Erlang, something's written in Haskell or Camel, and it gets a lot of impact, a lot of media attention, and you can live off that for about 18 months, a year. People have a very short span of attention. In 5 years' time, you'll be able to live off it for 5 seconds or something like that. But right now, you can live off it for about a year. And so, of course, the Erlang, of course, I only know about the Erlang, I know about some of the other ones, but tend to know more about the Erlang success stories than other ones. So the Erlang success story of the day is WhatsApp acquisition, $19 billion, and actually the largest ever acquisition of a software company, $19 billion, with a graph of somewhere of I found that's got the values of different software acquisitions, and at the top there is the WhatsApp acquisition. So you might ask, well, why is WhatsApp worth $19 billion? So I started looking on the net to see what people think it's worth that. And there was an article in Time, and Facebook. There's one friend of ours. Facebook wants to get into mobile communications. It's realised that the number of people accessing the internet through mobile devices now exceeds the number of people accessing it from stationary devices. That crossover point occurred in 2014. It's been predicted for a long time, but it happened in 2014, so late 2013. This is very good for people who make mobile devices like Ericsson, because we sell 50% of the world's market in mobile devices, and the smart stuff's all controlled by Erlang, which is quite nice. So we're controlling about 50% of this stuff, and everybody wants to buy smartphones, which is very good because you need to have things on rooftops to connect to, and we sell the things on rooftops. Facebook had realised that wireless, non-fixed line mobile access to the internet exceeded fixed line, so they wanted to get into this market. And so they wanted all these users. WhatsApp had got there first, and it got a big user base. So they were actually buying the user base. They weren't buying the technology behind WhatsApp. They were buying the user base. And they were buying the user base because WhatsApp had got there first. For no other reason. If somebody else had got there first, they would have bought those people. And they thought that $90 billion was worth it to buy that market advantage. They could take advantage of Google. Because Google hasn't yet realised that more people are using mobiles than static stuff. So there's a big fight going on there. That's why WhatsApp is worth a lot of money. But if you scratch the surface a little bit, I found this article, Sequoia. These 4 numbers explain why Facebook acquired WhatsApp. This is the start of a longer article, and it gives 4 numbers. The first number is the 400 million users or something like that. The second number is 32, right? So this is from Business Insider, and it says, even by the world's best technology companies, WhatsApp runs lean. We're only 32 engineers. They've done a silly thing. They divided the number of users by the number of developers, which I've never seen that way of measuring the efficiency of the software company. This is legendary. You see, they think that's pretty good. You have 32 people have written this stuff. Actually, only 10 of them were Erlang programmers. The rest were doing other stuff. Somebody had to make it work in Android and iOS. And the really difficult stuff, the easy bit, just making the back end work. Well, that's done now. The difficult bit had to do that as well. Right, and it was done in Erlang. An unusual but peculiarly well-suited choice. So, now we have to, let's have a look. So what was the secret here? Well, Erlang was a kind of magic juice they were using. It got them to that marketplace early. It meant they could make their product quicker than other people. And so they got to the marketplace first, and they expanded first, and they got this market stickiness effect of being first and biggest. In fact, there's quite a few examples of that. I don't know about all of functional. I do know about Erlang. People come to me in conferences and saying, I had a guy from a games company saying, we've got 3 million users on one machine, 3 million connected, fantastic, got it up. A couple of weeks ago, he was at the Erlang user conference in Stockholm, fantastic. Oh, who are you? Yeah, well, where's this go? Well, can we tell people? No. No. Why? Well, we're telling our competitors we're doing it in Java. So if you've actually got this sort of magic ingredient in your recipe, you know, you're a restaurateur and you've got this stuff in your soup and everybody goes, oh, this is fantastic soup. What do? You don't tell everybody what the magic ingredient is. You tell them the stuff that tastes crap. You know, we're using this crap stuff, and then all the competitors make crap soup and nobody likes it and they'll come to you. So we know that if all the technologies are roughly equal, then people will share knowledge because it doesn't do them any harm. And they can. But if you've got this stuff that's better, you'll keep it secret. Right. That's not very good for the people who want to fundraise or for the people who want to come into the business. So because there, to spread it sort of sideways, you need numbers, but to spread it in depth, you need investment and secrecy and things like that. So you have these two things which are working in opposite directions. So companies where FP is delivering a significant commercial advantage are a bit shy about publicity. Once these things take off, they'll rewrite it anyway. I know several examples where they used Erlang to sort of get off the ground early, and then they re-implemented it a few years later in C++. And I'll give you the classic example of that, and what a funny timing, really. You know, they rewrite it in Dreadful Tran 14 or something, because they've got a lot of Dreadful Tran 14. Dreadful Tran 14 isn't actually language, but it's there so that I don't get hate mail by saying that it's horrible. No, exactly. Right. So let's just scratch the surface and look at what happened with WhatsApp. Because WhatsApp's kind of typical, I think, of things that have happened. So, what really happened here? Well, in 1998, Michael Raymond, who's a Frenchman, discovered Erlang, and he wrote a book about it in French. The first and only ever book about it. Thank you. If you watch the lecture later, Michael, thank you very much. It's great. And then a guy in Ukraine, Alexei Shep, I don't know how you pronounce it, he started writing XMPP server. This is Java. It's the open source XML-based instant messaging protocol, and he decided to implement it in Erlang. And he wrote this XMPP server. And then Michael Raymond had started a company in France called Process One to support this XMP and the Java server. They put something on the market called eJava. It's called eJava. And that became market leading. It was market leading for two reasons. It was about 10 times faster than the Java alternative, and it was free. So the Java alternative was 10 times slower and cost money, and that gets you into a good market position. He also, Mikhail, made sort of inroads into standardization. So he got himself adopted as a member of the XMPP standardization committee, and after a while he had a fairly significant role there because they were able to implement new features and things first. And so 2006 we gave Alexei the Erlang User of the Year award for the work he'd done there, because eJavaD had become, or was becoming, the market-leading Java server. It wasn't earning any money for anybody. Well, it was earning money for Michael Raymond because he got this company. It was an open source company, they were supporting it. And they were selling courses and consulting and customization within companies that have been used internally in companies. He got about 25 people that work as consultants all over the world. He had one of these distributed companies where he works out of a cafe he hasn't got a premises, he sits in a little cafe in Paris somewhere. He's got Wi-Fi connection, he's got these people all over the world. So they're just having fun with that. So they made this system. And, well then, 2007, a guy called Adam D'Angelo made a chat prototype out of Facebook hackathon. I think it was a one-day hackathon, and they had to make a prototype of a chat server. And he based it on this XMPP thing. And that eventually kind of made its way into Facebook. And then Facebook launched in 2008 Facebook launched a chat server written in Erlang, and it was on the web. And that was our success story that we lived off for a year or so. We got Facebook's using the stuff, and 10 million users are using it, and it was coming along quite nicely. And then in 2009, Jan Kuam started playing with eJabber, because he started WhatsApp. And so he's kind of looking around and said, well, what's the sort of hottest stuff at the moment? What are the new kids on the block using? Well, the new kids on the block then were using this eJabber server. And so at that point in time, he decided to start the development for WhatsApp in Erlang, based on the eJabber server. And of course, around about 2010, I don't know the exact dates here, Facebook dropped the Erlang server, rewrote it in C++ or something. Of course, that was after Jan Kuam had started his little track. So you know, he couldn't read the future. He didn't know that Facebook was going to drop it in a couple of years' time. And I talked to one of the technical high-up guys at Facebook and said, why did you drop the Facebook? So well, it didn't fit in with our other way of doing something. We've got all this infrastructure, we push things this way, we do that. We've got 100 million, you know, we employed 10,000 C++ programmers, we don't know what to do with them. So we're getting to rewrite this stuff. Actually, I'm exaggerating. Probably only 5,000. Anyway, so they kind of dropped it. But the story there was what I was saying earlier, that you make the first version quickly in Erlang or something, and that gets you to the marketplace and you get your market share. Okay, so we've got, where are we up to? 2009, Jan Kuam starts playing with eJabber. And so this is actually the first mail to the, from Jan Kuam on June the 8th, 2009. So this is the first time he appears in the Erlang sphere. It's quite interesting because you discover he doesn't know, he hasn't found out where the shift lock is on his keyboard, so you can only write in small letters. But this didn't stop him, you know, so you can become a billionaire even if you don't know where the shift lock key is on your computer. So here we are. I installed eJabber, got it working, wanted to ask you all a couple of questions. So he did. So he asked a couple of questions. He got started with this. And, well, wait a minute, let me see. This is 2009. 5 years later, he's on the front page of Time or something because his personal share of the WhatsApp deal was $6 billion. So, you know, if you make the right technical choices and you're lucky, you could make a heck of a lot of money. It's not just the language, it's all these other things. Choose the right problem, be in the right place, be in the right time, have a large measure of luck, and then you've made an awful lot of money. Now, for a programmer's point of view, that is a kind of non-repeatable thing. But for the people who invest in these companies, it's a repeatable thing. So I went back to this slide here. There we are, Sequoia. These 4 years explain why Facebook acquired WhatsApp. Right. So who knows what Sequoia Capital is? Right. So who started a company who Sequoia Capital have invested in? Right. So Sequoia Capital have been running around the world investing in Erlang companies. Because they're the guys who've invested in Google and Yahoo and things in the beginning. This guy, Michael Moritz, has he been to you? Yeah, he's been to you in Stockholm. This is a guy, one of the people who started Klarna very early there. So there you can find some little, this is in Swedish. I'll translate. He's invested in Google, Yahoo, PayPal, Apple, and Cisco. When the risk capitalist Michael Moritz is in Sweden, he's in Sweden, sorry, wait a moment, he's got a place. Yeah, he's in the board of Klarna. Klarna is a finance company that's grown very rapidly in Sweden. It's about 500 people now, I don't know.
1,000.
Oh, sorry?
1,000.
Yeah, every time I give a talk, I say, Klarna's this rapidly growing company and it's got 500, 200, 300 people. And there's somebody in Klarna in the audience, I point at them and say, how many? They double the number. And I said, so it's got 1,200 people in it. It started 5 years ago. And it's one of our little Erlang things. It was started by, or the technology was done by Klaus Wikström and a few other guys who were ex-Blue Token. This is part of the, I say you can make money and it's repeatable, this is part of the thing. But the people who make all the money out of it, they're these guys. They're the venture capitalists. So they're the guys who kind of, they're sniffing out the good technologies and they just go in and buy 10% of the company or something like that. So they're making a whole pile of money out of functional programming, at least according to it. Right. So, that was a success story. Now I'm going to take some little micro scenarios and just run through them. If you want to spread functional programming getting into products, there are different ways of doing it. Well, one way is working inside you love Haskell, you love OCaml, you love whatever it's called, and you're a smart guy, you're in a big agreement, you've built a prototype, it's better than the stuff that all the colleagues are using, so you say, well, let's go to my boss, or my boss's boss, or my boss's 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 boss, and say, let's do this stuff in thing. Right. Well, the first thing you have to realise, you can't sell a language. You can only sell a product that's written in the language. Management don't give a tinker's cuss about which language the damn stuff's written in. Well, they do. But more from the point of view of employing people. If they write it in Java, C++, they know they can go out and get a 10-pack of Java programmers. Just go and say, pick up the phone up a consultancy. I say, I want 50 Java programmers next week. And they'll roll them in. They can't phone up a consultancy company and say, we want 50 Haskell programmers next week. And they roll them in, because there aren't 50 Haskell programmers to be had. At least not in Stockholm. Might be in London. Gothenburg, they don't have 50. Can you rip up 50 Haskell programs tomorrow, John?
How good they have to be?
Well, actually not good at all, because I've seen, we wanted some experienced airline programmers for the project. Phoned up some consultants and said, yeah, we've got these really experienced guys. I went in and sat there reading my book. I've seen them learning Java as well. Right. So if you're going to sell things inside a company, they must really, really want that thing for one reason or another. And they don't care. They've probably got to be in a position of desperation, that everything else has failed. I point out, when Erlang finally sort of made it inside Ericsson, it was actually due to the collapse of a large project that they really wanted to succeed. And by a happy coincidence, we built a prototype of what that product was meant to do. And they were in this help save me mode, drowning men in straws and that stuff. So we kind of ran in there. That's very good. Especially if everybody else has sort of given up and said, well, we can't do this stuff. You don't have to do it. That's very good. Right. So there's a few common problems. Well, that's, nobody got sacked for using Microsoft and Java and C++ ever, I don't think, because it wasn't a bad technical choice. Smart people with funny new languages that other people don't understand are very threatening to the established order. They don't like it. They really hate the idea that 10 programmers could do what 100. If 10 Haskell programmers could do what 100 C++ programmers would do, that would be absolutely dreadful. Because their salaries depend upon the number of people they manage. It's like a boss of 100. A boss of 100. Would you prefer to be a boss of 100 obedient C++ programmers or 10 unruly Haskell programmers? You get paid a tenth of the amount and you get all this hassle. So of course you don't want technology. The only reason you do it is if the opposition are also doing it, and then your whole company's going to become bankrupt because the opposition is better. That's kind of Darwinism that's also taking place. But that doesn't affect inside your company, because they don't care about that. They'll just go and work for the other company if your company goes bust. Right. Of course, nobody loves innovators. Right. They all hate them until the innovators win, and then they all turn around and say, well, we've always supported you, we've always loved you.
Yeah.
And that has actually happened. And then you also get these kind of into the kind of technical battles. These are great fun, actually. The management don't understand them. The technicians are actually quite good-humoured. They sort of like technical battles. These good ones do. it's a challenge to have a C++ guy say, well, I can write that faster in C++. Oh, can you? Right. Get going. Try and show that he's wrong, of course, and that's great fun. But the management of these people, their managers, they don't think it's fun. They think you should only implement something once. They don't think you should implement it in 10 different languages, measure the difference and take the best one. They think that's a waste of money. They want to choose the one, they want to know which the one is first and then not do the 9 other projects, which is a great shame. Right, so the solutions to these problems is you absolutely must get yourself a protector. This is the person who puts the umbrella over you. It's either group chief or the technical chief who likes you and your group or something and keeps the nasty people away from you so you can carry on doing your stuff. And actually, I think the next point, very important, I've seen this many times. The smallest unit of survival inside a big company is a group. It is not 1 or 2 people inside a bigger group. I've seen that. This is actually, I think, what went wrong with Facebook stuff, because it was done by 2 guys and they were in a larger group. And I've seen what that happens many times. I've seen many examples of this where the group as a whole. I've seen a group of about a dozen C++ programmers making a fault-tolerant server. And one guy in the group wrote the fault-tolerant server in Erlang before, and he got there before the other guys had done it. And so he's sort of inside the group, but he wasn't part of this group. If you see what I mean, he was kind of he was isolated, and he did a good job. And he bypassed his boss and went to the managing director of a smallish company, and they needed this product really. I'm not going to tell you which one it was. They needed the product really quickly. And so the managing director said, go ahead and do it. He did it. And he was they didn't reorganise the group structure at that point. He got another guy to work with him, the 2 of them. He held out for about 3 years. And then he quit and formed his own company. I've seen other examples of where the one enthusiast has managed to build a group. Now, a group is much more stable than an individual inside a group. Because it's got its own reporting scheme, and then you can measure how well that group does with respect to other groups. So I've seen a structure which is kind of stable. I've seen this example in this group that makes Chef 11, ops code. It's done by a guy called Dave Smith, who went on my first Erlang course over there from the States. He made some videos about Erlang. I was always kind of keen on Erlang. And he got a job at the ops code, I believe it's called. And there is a program called Chef 11 which is used for administrating systems. And I don't know the story of how he managed to get this, but there's a whole group of Erlang people making this Chef 11 product. And that's then a stable thing because it can be compared to other groups and it's got its own financing. And then that product sold very well. The other one is, I think it's called Wunga. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's a games company. Make a lot of games, and a lot of those are written in Erlang. It's sort of network games. And the reason that works is the way they organise the company is 1 group equals 1 product. And so any group of people inside one group could, as it was explained to me, they could come up with an idea, and if that idea would bear, they would form a group around it, and if the product they made, the game they made was successful, then that was all they needed. And so that was a good sort of structure for new technologies to flourish. You could have a little Haskell group, a little Erlang group, a little Node.js group and things, and they're all kind of little self-contained islands. It doesn't work when, I've just seen this so many times, it doesn't work when you're an individual. Try and make yourself into a group. Then there are some, look, if you are looking around for what's gone, look for project failures. I mean, be sniffing around. You're like a dog, looking out for bits of dog's dinners on the ground. Sniff around, say, well, that project's going to fail. Where's it in a big, important project? Yeah, well, go for kind of sidelight to and see what they're doing. And then, of course, you're doing the PR all the time, and so that wonderful it is. But, I mean, it's a project failure, so that's your op. And then when you see a project failure, run at it like hell and get there before everybody else. That's a good thing. Don't challenge ongoing projects just because they will do it better. If that project will not fail, they will do it. Doesn't matter, you can do it better. They will carry on. A big failing project is really good news for the managers in charge of it. They get more and more people. Their salary goes up and up and up because they're really working hard for the company, dealing with failures. There's a book called Putt's Principle you should all read. It says the other thing, if you're in a company and you've got bad bosses, don't fight them. Don't try and change it. Move immediately. Just grease lightning like that. Big mistake to stay and fight. The last point took me a long time to figure out. This is Ellen got banned inside Ericsson, and I was young and impetuous. So what did I do? I quit, formed my own company, and we made millions of dollars. Had I not been young and impetuous, I would have just renamed what we were doing and just carried on. I later, through some funny how history turns out, I went back to Ericsson and I was working on another project. My boss called me, he said, got some news for you. There was some good and bad news. Because we'd been doing something in Erlang that was similar to a much bigger project doing it now. Management had got to learn that there were two things doing this project. So they wanted to make a management decision. Can't be doing two things. So they had a big discussion. Do you want to hear the good or bad news? Well, about the bad news. Management groups decided to cancel the project. What's the good news? Well, we're starting a new project. So I just renamed it and carried on. So, that's the easiest thing to do. Stuff's cancelled, just rename. Give it, if you're working on Haskell 3 or something, a new type system for session types or something, I don't know. It gets banned, just call it Java 7 or Java 9. 9 and 2/3. I mean, I thought what was the marketing material for Prolog. It said, Prolog is just like C with a slightly different syntax. Which I thought was a bit over the top, really. Turing equivalent. Right. Okay, so this little section is the start a company bit. Well, first thing about companies, you actually have to decide what sort of company you are. There are all sorts of different companies. And so here's I've started a type 1 company. No, wait a minute. No, it's type 3. It's a type 3 company. You are a development R&D company. You make something, and the goal is that some big company who wants that thing will buy you. So I started one of them. Okay, in the beginning we had a lot of discussion. What sort of company do we want to be? That's one type of company. Another company is a consultancy company. You earn money by hiring consultants and selling them to people. Or you can be a product company. You make a product and you sell that product and you sell courses around it. Like that. You don't want to be unclear about which sort of company you are because you will have a completely different organisation structure. So the one I know most about is they've all got different risk profiles. They all have their own challenges. They all need a good bit of luck to work. So I'll tell you about me. I think it's the third one. So this is the method which I've observed to be repeatable. So you choose. You're going to lever the advantage of being quicker, right? First to market. So you have to choose a new and upcoming standard which you think everybody's going to adopt. So there's a measure of luck in. Look at the RFCs and things like that for new protocols. I mean, right, Google's coming out with a new protocol they want to replace HTTP with. That might be a good point of exercise. I can just look around at these protocols. Then you implement that standard, and you make sure that you are the world's best implementer of that standard, and you are the first. Okay. And you gain, by doing so, a reputation as being the experts in that field. So as part of that work of implementing that standard, you'll get yourself on the standardization committees. Go and influence the standards, and whenever they say, well, we want to try this out, you come back a few days later and say, well, I've implemented this stuff. By doing that, you can drive the standards. But above all, you drive the reputation of yourself and your company. Okay. Two examples of that are the AMQP standard, Advanced Message Queue Protocol, which came out and was first implemented by RabbitMQ people, and they became the de facto sort of, because they'd implemented the entire standard, and because they were always first to implement the extensions, they knew more about it than anybody else, and they wrote this in Erlang, made RabbitMQ, and then they were bought up by VM, the VM. The other example is TailF company, who chose the netconf standard because they thought, well, network configured. They thought, well, netconf is going to get big in the beginning, in a few years' time. It's a standard that's greatly needed. And so they went in and implemented netconf in Erlang, and they were the first with decent netconf products. Martin Björklund, who was actually one of the main designers of the Erlang OTP stuff, and with me when we started Bluetail, was the main guy doing standardization of netconf, and sat on the standardization. TailF were the first people to implement this stuff, and they were acquired by Cisco for $175 million last year. So I mean, the Bluetail formula, what I'll go into, was sort of do this, find a new standard, get yourself a market position there, and a reputation, implement something, and then hang around and hope some guy will buy you up for a lot of money. So seen that done 3 or 4 times. And in fact, the Bluetail heresy sort of went on inside Sweden, so these guys became serial entrepreneurs and just did it again and again and again. So they kind of worked out, this is a formula, I said, you turn the handle, out comes money. It's quite fun. So, of course, it weren't in the WhatsApp scale. So here are what WhatsApp was sort of, they didn't exactly follow that formula. Well, I suppose they did in a way, but they were inventing the standards at the same time. And Bluetail was a company I founded together with my colleagues, and we sold that for $154 million. TailF was sold for $135 million. And I don't know what the RabbitMQ was. That's a way of levering functional programming, or a technology which can do the stuff faster and making money out of it. Where does this money come from to start the company? Again, there are different financing models. For the type of company I was talking about, you need business. The first lot of money comes from business angels. These are the ones before venture capitalists. They take on investments that are more risky than the venture capitalists will touch. So for companies like TailF, we're in a fortunate position that people who founded it had already made money before. So these are the programmers who've made money out of the first company. They don't need any business angels because they just finance it themselves. So they put in the initial capital just to get started. If you don't have any money at all to start with, there's a bit of a problem. So you need that first bit of money to start. Once you've actually started, the most important thing is the valuation of your company. Because what you're going to do is sell X% of your company to a venture capitalist. So you need a good valuation for your company. Now, of course, nobody knows what a new started company is worth. Nobody's got a clue. And so when you go out to venture capitalists and things, you need to show them things that are worth money. They have a spreadsheet, right? And they'll go, how many articles have you got in the newspaper? 3, and they put a 3 in their spreadsheet. And how many people do you employ? How many computers do you own? 6 or something like that. How many employees have you got? 0. How much money have you yourself put in? They put all these numbers in the spreadsheet, and out comes a number that's what they think your company's worth. And then you say, well, I want to sell you 1% of my company for 1 million krona. And they say, no, I want to buy 51% of your company for 5,000 krona. And then you start negotiating. So the trick is to sell as little as possible, for as much as possible, from your point of view. From their point of view, they want to buy as much as possible, for as little as possible. Okay. So Bluetail managed to get itself off the ground, and it had an initial valuation, and we sold bits of the company. We're only selling off about 2 or 3% of the company at each round. And as Jane Volmer said, we're always 3 weeks from bankruptcy, which was kind of good, because the valuation goes, if you're doing something that's any good, the valuation will go up with time. Okay, so this is the thing. And you have to learn all that stuff. They'll come and say, venture capital, what's your exit strategy? I remember the first time I was in a meeting, Jane said something. She said, what's your exit strategy? Jane said something. Jane, what's exit strategy? What's it mean? She said, how do they take, when things go sour, how do they take the money and run before everybody else? That's exit strategy. So you need to, if you can have your 1 minute talk to a venture capitalist in a lift, 30 seconds you sell him the stuff, and then the 30 seconds he'll talk about his exit strategies. To understand this. Right. You can get personal loans and things to do that. Personally, I think it's actually a very, very bad idea. Extremely bad idea. And you can loan your house and sell your cat and things like that. Don't sell your cat, you won't get much money for it. It's a very bad idea. I think basically if you can't actually go out there and sell the idea, you probably shouldn't do it. Okay, there are one or two people who are really, they were, history proved them right, they sold their house and started this company and made a fortune or something. But I think the statistics are against you. I wouldn't do that. I'm an engineer. I'm very cautious actually. Go for safe bets, I think. If you can't persuade people to pay a decent salary, you see the thing, risk capitalists. They're the people who provide the risk. They take the risk. And a risk capitalist works together with you. You're the guys with the idea. You're the provider of the ideas and the technology. They're the people who take the risk. Okay, so they pay you a decent salary while you're taking that risk. Okay, you have to persuade them. Means you've got to talk to them. Right. Important, you've got to get external investors, not internal investors. Somebody has to have an interest in helping you make money. And don't sell all your stock. Don't let them get a majority share in the company so take money yourself. Get all the business stuff fixed. This was the best thing we did. In Bluetail, I knew, my colleagues knew about how to write computer programs, but Jane Barton came along as a business person. She asked all these questions like that. How do you sell the stuff? Oh, I don't know. And how do you sell stuff? We've got to hire a salesman. What do I do? It will sell itself. We'll put a paper into ICFP and millions of customers will come to our door. I mean, that's the way to sell stuff. No, it isn't actually. You won't sell my stuff. I saw somebody started a company. He was a professor, and it's not in this room. It's a long way away from here. He was showing his marketing material. It was like a paper. It was like a journal paper. So, well, he'd written the paper. Wasn't quite sure why he hadn't got all these customers. Didn't think he needed any help either. Right. So, yeah, you're not selling Haskell, Erlang, whatever. Your advantage is time to market. This is this type of company. You've got to have a business plan. Concentrate on areas where you might see failures on. What's a business plan? Well, you've got to answer these questions. What are we selling? How much does it cost? Who are we going to sell it for? How are we going to reach our customers? How can the external effect? How can I make money out of this? If you're asking other people to make money out of, if you're asking people to invest in you and your company, the first question they're going to ask is, how can I make money out of it? They don't care if it's written in Haskell. Tinker's fuck them if it's written in Haskell. It can be written in anything. They want to make money out of it. Good. And know your numbers, your burn rates, your profit margins, and know your elevator pitches, and get an amazingly good salesperson. A little Doberman pincher sort of guy who'll bite onto your leg and never let them go. Collect all this letters of intent, patents, newspaper articles, Twitter followers, God knows what, and they'll go into the valuation of your company. Right, that was a company. Golly, 10 minutes to go. Consultancy business, I know nothing about, really, I suppose. Well, I would say that actually I've seen quite a lot of thing where at the moment, in the Erlang world, lack of certainly experienced programmers is slowing things down quite a lot. A lot of people are really, really keen to get started, and they really can't find any good people who know anything about it. I don't know if that's true in Haskell. Is it true there as well? Yeah. So this is where the consultancy bridges that gap. consultancies that are Erlang Solutions is the Erlang house. I don't know if there's a Haskell Solutions, which I know TypeSafe is doing Scala. Who's going to form Haskell Solutions? Go and hire. You start off with 2 or 3 programmers and hire them out, and use your profit margin for sort of take half their salary, and for hiring them. You're just basically a salesman who can sell Haskell. Go out and sell Haskell programs. Hire them up. Right, sorry, what's happening? Hey, wait. Oh, there we go. Right. Oh, I didn't tell it to go forward by. Hey, what's happening? I'm not touching it. Okay, so, right. Well, I haven't time to say that. Oh, yeah, have fun, right. Why did it? Well, I didn't hit.
Try turning it off and on.
Right, so that's why we wanted some consultancies. There are 2 types. I mean, there's consultancy companies, and then there's private consultants. High income, no pension, get customers yourself. So there's quite a few pretty well paid private consultants doing Erlang and I guess doing Haskell and things like that. That's quite good. If you're a private consultant, I've talked to Martin Fowler, I did the odd little job. So how do you charge for consultancy? He said, well, 1 in 6 of people should say no because you're too expensive. Because if you say, well, I'm going to charge you so much to do this, and they say yes, then you'll think, well, maybe I should have charged them more, but you do have to make a living out of it. So I was having this discussion with a friend. Well, what you should really do is you charge twice as much. Yeah, but what happens if I don't get the work? Well, it doesn't matter. You've only got to get half the number of jobs charging twice as much. You make the same income and work half as much. But just imagine if you could charge 10 times as much. You work 1/10 of the time, you earn the same money. You see. So I mean, it's good. So if you're any good, you should try and get this curve. But in order to do that, you need to establish a reputation of being good at what you're doing and have references. That's a sort of freelance thing. Yeah. Those are just things that have happened to consultancies. Now, what you can all be doing now is, we've got to de-geekify functional programming, write articles that appear at conferences. This is actually going quite well, I think, because if I go back about 10 years ago, I think, was the rise of the developer conference. We started seeing these big developer conferences. Yahoo in where is it? Denmark. Aarhus. Yeah, started it. Did it start it? I don't know. It's one of the first big developer conferences. They started off as big Beanos where Java and .NET people could sort of walk around in hordes listening to talks about Java and .NET. And they've attracted thousands of people. And about 6 or 7 years ago, I think the organisers of these conferences thought that they would kind of try to lighten up the thing by having some sessions and some tracks in other stuff that wasn't Java or C# and things like that. So they had this kind of slots which were other technologies. And in those slots, functional programming would get 1 lecture, say. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I was talking at Yahoo in Denmark, and there was 1 slot for sort of other programming technologies, and one of those slots was I was talking about Erlang. By today, you might get 2, NDC and Oslo, you get a whole track on functional programming all day with about 10 lectures or something like that, or maybe you've got 2 parallel tracks, and you have whole conferences like Lamp Jam, which are just the sort of flunky technologies. It's not mainstream yet, but it's coming along. And in the bookshops, you wouldn't see a functional programming book. You wouldn't find an Erlang book or a Haskell book or anything like that. And a whole shelf of books on Erlang and Haskell. So it's slowly breaking through. It's not mainstream yet, but it's influencing the mainstream to a certain extent. Java's got lambdas in it. It's only taken 100 years or something. So these ideas are influencing programming. But it needs a bit of an image change. It's got to get from being scary to non-scary. And, it's easy stuff. I mean, if people can understand all this callback stuff, you get callbacks that are triggered when you put a callback in a callback in Node.js, so when the callback occurs, it will trigger the callback in the callback. And if you can understand that code, which I can't, you can understand that kind of stuff, but needs to be made simple. It is simple, so, and you need to write a blog about it and tweet about it. I would say anything about research. It is a way of making money, but well, I don't know. Then you've got to do what the funding agencies deem to be. And it's no nice way of saying this, really. Funding agencies award stuff by peer review. And since all your peers are all doing Java and stuff like that, they won't like you doing this stuff. So actually, since a peer review system in a point where you actually have got a superior technology that will knock out their technology and you're in a minority, is not a very good way of getting money. It's just not going to work. Oh, and have fun, yeah. I mean, don't, go and do something else if you don't think it's fun. You don't expect your life to be fun. Right, it's your turn. We carry on this discussion all day. Thank you. I'm sorry about the slides not working.
We have time for
Questions? Absolutely, yes. It's a break after this? Or?
Yes, we lead right into a break. So.
Right, so I'm taking up your break time. But,
Yes, you can take as long as you want to.
Well, no, because I want to have coffee. Yes, any questions?
Just introduce yourself and.
So my name is Dimitri Tefirio. You mentioned that time to market is like the one thing that you're going to have in function programming that's better. Is there any other that you might have thought of?
Well, I put the three on the first. I mean, one was time to market. The other was less errors in your program. And the other was shorter code. I mean, all these have economic consequences.
All right. So the immediate consequence of the other two would be, if you were in a specific industry that requires reliability,
yes,
to be able to do that.
So in fact, using that, you would say, well, okay, so we can achieve a better time to market. That means that you could target emergent technologies where big companies want to get into the marketplace early. It would be no good for an established industry. If you say my second advantage is less errors in the program, then you would target industries where errors in programs have disastrous consequences. So John will tell you all about that, much more than I know. So his niche talk will be, I'm targeting here, the one I know most about is the argument for functional programming as an enabler of a short time to market. John gives talks all about functional programming as an enabler for getting less errors in your program, and it's a completely different market. And the other market would be the shortness of the program and things. I don't know who would argue that case, so that's a slightly more difficult. But I think
You did it in the movie.
Sorry?
You did that in having the movie.
Oh, did I? Right. I mean, if you're... so somebody said, Lambda Jam, we were talking about. Look, if the air traffic control system had been written in airline, would you fly in the plane? Absolutely I would, yes. Far greater than C++. So, build, John, please go and, sell your stuff to the people like aeroplanes and nuclear power stations and things like that. It's very good. Okay, absolutely on time.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll reconvene in a half hour.